Today is the last day for President Trump to have a full day in office, which means it's the last day that he has to give clemency to people who are in federal prison. And so there are people all across the country right now hoping that they may be part of this wave of clemency or a pardon. And it's important if you're watching this video and you're going through a challenge, particularly if you're facing the criminal justice system, you do a little bit of thinking about what seeds can you sow today that will put you in a position for some type of relief later in the future. My name is Michael Santos. It's clemency is something I thought a lot about during the 26 years that I served in prison. Of course, I wasn't ever successful in getting executive clemency, and I didn't apply for a pardon. I've been home now from federal prison for a little over between 7 and 8 years. I finished my sentence in August of 2013, and today's date is January the 19th, 2021. So you can do the math. What I'd like you to be thinking about, though, is if you want to transform your life from wherever you are right now to what you want to have in the future, you consider keeping a daily journal, a journal that documents the progress that you are making to position yourself for success and a life of meaning and relevance and dignity while you're going through a challenging time. Remember, it's not the bad decisions that are going to define the rest of your life. What's going to define the rest of your life is how you respond to those bad decisions. In every one of these journals, we begin with a little bit of a lesson, and we include some questions that we hope will help you develop critical thinking skills. You can work through this program on your own. It's kind of a self-directed program, but this is a strategy that I used while I was going through those challenging times, and it's something that I would recommend that you use if you are going through challenging times. And you can see I don't ever ask anybody to do anything that I am not doing. Every single day, I document my progress of the work that I am doing to build my life. That is the same strategy that I used while I was in prison, and it's the same strategy that other people should use if they want to receive some type of favorable treatment in their future. I was looking, because today is the last day of President Trump's term in office and the last opportunity he is going to have to issue pardons, I was looking at some of the people that are being considered. And one of those people is right here on the Bureau of Prisons website. You can kind of see why it is this person would need to get it. I mean, look at that release date for this poor fella. Shalom Was. He is 66 years old. He's serving a sentence in Otisville, and you can see his scheduled release date is June the 10th, 2738. He is serving a sentence of 800 year, which is just absurd to think that our country would incarcerate people for such lengthy time, such, I mean, an 800-year prison sentence, and there is no violence in his case. It was a white-collar case. But that's the nature of America's criminal justice system. So I want people to be thinking about, what does somebody have to do to position themselves for clemency or a pardon? And you can look through the news articles of today. You can see that this is from today. This is written, January the 19th at 7:15. Oh, that was published yesterday. So it was published on the 18th, but it's showing some of the people. Of course, this is a big name, a well-known artist, Lil Wayne, who's apparently a candidate for one of the clemency grants. He was caught with a firearm, and to be convicted of a felon in possession of a firearm, it exposes him to a potential sentence of 10 years in prison. You've got other people that are being considered, like Sheldon Silver, a powerful political figure and businessman from New York. He was an assembly speaker. We've got Steve Bannon, that he used to work for the president, and of course Lil Wayne and many other people. But there's that fellow there, Mr. Weiss, who was sentenced to more than 800 years in prison. How does a person like that get into the position of being considered for clemency by the President of the United States? Well, you can see he is being represented by Alan Dershowitz, the famous lawyer who was from Harvard, and he's been very active in representing the president. This fellow also has the advocacy of a former U.S. attorney who worked in the White House, a fellow by the name of Brett Tolman. who has filed paperwork indicating he is seeking support for clemency for Mr. Weiss. Um, there's quite a bit of media out there on who's getting this support, or who's a potential candidate for clemency from President Trump. Well, I want you to be thinking about, where do you stand if you're trying to get a better outcome in your life? And that's why this book can be so helpful, because what you really need to be thinking about is lobbying for yourself. You've got to become your own best advocate, because eventually, if you want to apply for a pardon, there's generally a process, and that process requires a person to file a form with the Office of the Pardon Attorney, and that form is available right here on the Justice website, justice.gov, and you could look for Office of the Pardon Attorney and get all kinds of information. You could learn where do you get the forms, how do you fill them out. You could even look at some of the people that the president has pardoned in the past, and then you could actually see, what does a pardon grant look like. And that's basically what it is. You just get a form. It says executive grant of clemency to President of the United States, to all whom present shall some come. Greeting, be it known that this day, Donald Trump, President of the United States, pursuant to my powers under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, has granted to David Hossein Safavian a full and unconditional pardon. And it really liberates him from some of the complexities of a criminal conviction. It allows him to vote again. I don't know, all of the rights that get restored because of this, but it is something that would benefit people. I know numerous people who have been blessed with clemency, either executive clemency, a commutation, which means they get out of prison, and other people who get a pardon, which is really, I think it more forgives the offense. So, to do this, though, a person really needs to lobby for himself. And the first step in a more conventional presidency, where you can't go directly to the president, is to file an application with the U.S. Pardon Attorney, try to get support, and that support ordinarily should include, hopefully, support from the prosecutor who brought the case, that you're going to ask this person to either support the clemency grant, or if not support, at least not oppose. And then you've got, you may want to go after the sentencing judge, who you want to support the petition, but if not support, at least not oppose. If there are victims in the crime, it certainly would be helpful to get the victims to support the petition, or at least not oppose. But that's really just the start. After that, a person really does need to become his own best advocate. And one of the ways that I recommend people do that is they document their journey. Demonstrate what steps you are taking today, what seeds you are sowing to build this pathway of reconciliation and oneness with society. Because really, that's what a pardon is. It is a forgiveness, or a recognition that this person doesn't belong in prison anymore. Well, with our nation's massive, bloated criminal justice system, and more than 100,000 people in federal prison, and more than 1 million people in state and federal prisons across the country, it's very difficult to get heard. Although there may be only a couple of hundred people during any given term of a presidency to receive the grant of executive clemency, there are certainly tens of thousands of people who have worked toward it and who may be worthy of relief. But sadly, this is a situation where the squeaky wheel gets the grease, meaning the person who can advocate for himself or for herself best is the one that is going to get the attention of the chief executive officer, who in most jurisdictions is the one who has the power to grant a clemency request. And there are different types of clemency. There is, the one that is probably most applicable to people incarcerated is a commutation, where the chief executive officer, being the president of the United States for federal crimes, or the governor for state crimes, has the power to forgive the offense or to grant compassion on the sentence and let the person out. They can also do the pardon, which is a forgiveness of the offense, and that can happen even after the person is out. There's amnesty, which forgives a whole blanket of people who may be charged with an offense. And there is a couple of other forms of clemency, but those are the three most popular. Jimmy Carter, for example, President Jimmy Carter granted clemency through an amnesty to all of the people who had left the United States on desertion during the Vietnam War. So he granted a blanket amnesty. Although I don't suspect it could happen, President Trump has the power to grant blanket amnesty to all of the people who are going to be charged with storming the Capitol. Probably not going to happen. He's got enough controversy around his presidency. But I think we can see by the end of today, on January the 19th, 2021, more than 100 people will receive some form of executive clemency. At least that's the conjecture out here. As you can see, if you look on Google and you type in clemency or pardons, that's what the pundits are saying. More than 100 people. And frankly, I've expected him to be be much more aggressive in granting clemency over the past couple of weeks because of the controversy surrounding his presidency. He's the kind of guy that makes his own decisions and doesn't really pay a lot of attention to traditional forms of the clemency path. People could lobby him directly rather than going to the pardon attorney. That's probably not going to be the case in the Biden administration, but on the other hand, in the Biden administration, there are probably going to be more avenues for people to advocate for themselves, and that's already in existence through the First Step Act, which provides a mechanism for compassionate release, and maybe with the movement that has been going toward criminal justice reform, there will be additional mechanisms that somebody could work toward doing what? Toward earning freedom. I mean, I was on that path for the entire 9,500 days that I served in prison, as you could read if you got this book, which you could get by visiting us at Prison Professors and going to the store, or just using the show notes if you go down below. But I mean, this will show how hard I worked to lobby for myself. Well, it was a different era. I didn't get out of prison one day earlier. I did all 9,500 days, but I went into the prison during the dawn of mass incarceration when it was just starting. President Reagan was in the White House, and there was a movement to incarcerate more people. Well, after that has been going on for 30 years. With President Trump, the movement towards de-escalating the prison population really began, and I think you're going to see it continue because of the great injustice of what goes on in our system, as I showed you with Shalom Wise serving 800 years doing a crazy sentence because he chose to exercise his right to go to trial. I really think that we need reforms in our criminal justice system, but more than that, I think that every individual needs to learn how to advocate for himself. The sooner a person starts sowing seeds for a better outcome, the more prospects that person has for success. Today is January the 19th, 2021. It's my daily journal. This is all part of my pathway of making a commitment to document the story of how I'm working to build mechanisms that will improve lives for people in jail, people in prison, and also through our new company, Compliance Mitigation, which I continue to build, help avoid it altogether. I hope that you will subscribe to our channel and that we can provide some meaning and value to your life. You can subscribe just by hitting the subscribe button at the top of this page. Get more information on our team by downloading the free information, or you can look down below. But visit us at prisonprofessors.com or compliancemitigation.com. Thank you.